The June heat pressed down on my graduation robe as I waited outside State University's commencement ceremony, degree certificate clutched in my sweaty palm, scanning faces for my family. For years of endless studying, weekend shifts, and relentless determination had brought me to this point. I'd finished magna cum laude with a degree in software engineering, already holding an offer from a tech firm in Austin starting at $102,000 annually. My phone kept lighting up with congratulatory messages from classmates, but I craved seeing my family's reactions. I needed them to acknowledge, just once, that they were proud. I finally located them by the campus fountain. My dad, Robert, wearing his interview suit. My mom, Patricia, in her formal dress. My younger brother, Tyler, stood nearby, absorbed in his phone with that indifferent look he'd mastered. I rushed over, certificate held high like a championship trophy. I actually did it. Can you even believe this moment? My dad's expression tightened. My mom's smile appeared forced, fragile at the corners. The quiet between us felt like the ground splitting open. Tyler barely acknowledged my presence. So, I pushed, my enthusiasm dimming. Nothing to say. My dad exchanged that particular look with my mom, the kind that telegraphed they'd been planning a conversation behind my back. He cleared his throat, straightened his collar. We need to have a discussion, Cameron, about your obligations now that you're finished with school. The word obligations struck me like a physical blow. My mom nodded, gripping her clutch like a shield against her body. All around us, families embraced, wept, celebrated. We existed in our private bubble of discomfort, and I sensed the first crack of something fundamental breaking. We relocated to a bench farther from the festivities. The sounds of happiness seemed to ridicule the weight descending on us. My dad initiated, his tone mechanical and transactional. Your mother and I have been calculating your job package. That income you keep mentioning, we've determined you can easily send us about $2,500 monthly. Consider it reimbursement for everything we put into you. I actually chuckled because this had to be some kind of prank. Dad, I literally haven't received my first paycheck yet. I've got educational debt. I need to secure housing in Austin. Educational debt, my mom interrupted sharply. We refinanced our house to cover your expenses when your financial aid fell short. You believe that diploma materialized out of thin air? I stared at her, thoughts spiraling. They'd never mentioned refinancing. I'd juggled 2 campus jobs precisely to minimize their burden. I worked myself to exhaustion to reduce what you paid, I said, fighting to stay calm. I had academic scholarships, financial aid, I worked at the student center and we still had to make sacrifices, my dad cut in. Your brother's education fund, depleted. Our retirement accounts, drained. You pursued your prestigious degree while we accumulated nothing except financial stress and premature aging. Tyler finally looked up from his device, and I caught something malicious in his expression. Mom and Dad have been barely surviving, Cameron. But you wouldn't notice because you were too occupied being the campus superstar. The blame they wielded felt like a blade pressed to my chest, restricting my breathing. My mom retrieved her tablet and displayed a detailed spreadsheet. We've itemized everything. 4 years of costs with inflation adjustments and lost investment potential. You owe us roughly $94,000. The $2,500 monthly is actually generous, it'll only take you about 3 years to settle the debt. I examined the figures blurring on the screen. My analytical brain automatically verified the calculations. They were exaggerated, inflated with costs that bore no relation to my education. Household groceries they'd have purchased regardless. Mortgage payments that existed before I was born. This isn't reasonable, I said, my voice unsteady. You're my family, not collection agents. Reasonable? My mom's volume escalated. Was it reasonable that we had to postpone our vacation to Hawaii because you required a new computer? Was it reasonable that your father's been working double shifts for 4 years while you enjoyed student life? I wasn't enjoying anything. I was studying, working, building something. Building something for yourself, she snapped back. While we're trapped here struggling. Tyler moved closer, his phone now recording. Just own it, Cameron. You exploited them. You extracted what you needed and now you're planning your escape. The phone's recording indicator felt like an indictment. Are you actually filming this? He shrugged casually. Evidence for when you bail on the family. My dad nodded his approval at Tyler. That's when clarity struck me. The coalition they'd formed against me. The story they'd fabricated where I played. The antagonist in my own achievement. I'll contribute what I reasonably can, I said deliberately. But I can't promise $2,500 monthly straight out of graduation. Let me establish myself, understand my finances. There it is, my dad said to my mom as if I'd validated their hypothesis. The justifications begin immediately. We squandered our resources on you, my mom declared, her words measured and icy. All that sacrifice, and you can't even support the people who provided everything. The statement lingered in the air like toxic smoke that would contaminate our relationship for years. Something fundamental shifted inside me right then, standing by that fountain with my degree certificate damp in my grip. I reflected on the nights I'd existed on instant meals to conserve money. The lucrative opportunities I'd declined during school because they interfered with academics. The relationship I'd ended because I couldn't divide my attention between romance and survival. Every sacrifice I'd made to earn this degree, they were reframing as selfishness. I looked at my dad, genuinely studied him, noticed the expectation in his posture, the presumption. Examined my mom, who'd instructed me that family meant unconditional support, now itemizing her affection. Considered Tyler, who'd always envied my drive, now using my success as ammunition against me. You know something? I said, and I experienced this unusual tranquility flowing through me. You're completely correct. They blinked, startled by my concession. I am, my dad said. You are, my mom repeated. Absolutely, I said, and I smiled. It wasn't joyful or melancholic. It was the expression of someone severing a rope they'd been suspended from. You definitely squandered your resources on me. So here's the plan moving forward. I'm going to follow your suggestion and concentrate on my future. My individual future. The one you just clarified I constructed independently. Cameron, my mom began, but I raised my palm. I'm finished. Finished being the villain in your narrative. Finished accepting blame for achieving success. Finished apologizing for dedication. My dad's complexion turned crimson. Son, you need to reconsider your attitude or what? You'll disown me? Consider it reciprocal. I pivoted to leave and Tyler seized my sleeve. You're genuinely abandoning us after everything? I observed his grip on my jacket, then locked eyes with him. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm simply refusing extortion from my own relatives. I extracted myself gently and headed toward my vehicle. My hands trembled as I departed the campus, my phone erupting with notifications. My mom, how dare you address us that way? My dad, you're committing the gravest error of your existence. Tyler, everyone will discover your true character. I pulled into a Target parking area and remained there, engine idling, climate control blasting, attempting to process the events. My graduation day. The day I'd fantasized about since freshman orientation. Destroyed. Or was it? I examined my certificate on the passenger seat. Cameron Mitchell Torres, Bachelor of Science in Software Engineering, magna cum laude. Nobody could confiscate that from me. Not my parents' resentment. Not Tyler's envy. Not their fictional account of my university years. I'd earned this. Every exhausting night, every sacrifice, every decision that led here, those belonged to me. The validation they withheld, I'd need to locate within myself. I contacted my closest friend, Derek, who answered immediately. Yo, graduate. How does success taste? Derek, my voice fractured. I need somewhere to stay tonight. Pause, then, what went down? I recounted everything. The narrative spilled out like pressure releasing from a sealed container. The spreadsheet, the accusations, the recording, the ultimatum. When I concluded, Derek whistled softly. Man, that's brutal. You know my place is yours, right? Just tonight, I said. I'm starting apartment searches in Austin tomorrow. I'm not remaining in this city one moment longer than necessary. They actually said they wasted money on you on graduation day? Verbatim. Another whistle. That's Arctic, Cameron. That's absolute zero. Yeah, I agreed, observing families passing my car carrying graduation balloons and flower arrangements. But you know what? It provided absolute clarity. I don't owe them my future. I don't owe them anything. Damn straight you don't, Derek said. Come through. We'll order Chinese, play some Apex, forget this day existed. But I understood I wouldn't forget. This day would remain with me permanently, just not in the way I'd once anticipated. I arrived at Derek's place with nothing except my certificate and my graduation attire. His mother, Mrs. Kim, assessed my expression and embraced me with a hug that made my vision blur. Your mother contacted me, she said softly. Told me you were disrespectful at graduation. Want to share your perspective? So I did. I sat at their dining table and explained everything, including specifics I hadn't mentioned to Derek. Mrs. Kim listened, her expression growing increasingly troubled with each revelation. That spreadsheet, she finally said. Did it account for the $2,000 you sent them last winter or the $1,200 you provided when your dad's vehicle failed? I stared at her. How did you? Because my friend, your mother, boasted about it. Said you were such a devoted son. Always considering family. Now suddenly you're selfish? She shook her head. This narrative doesn't align, Mijo. My phone rang. Aunt Linda, my father's sister. I hesitated answering, but Mrs. Kim gestured for me to take it. Cameron, Aunt Linda's voice carried restrained fury, but not directed at me. I just finished speaking with your father. He explained what occurred. And I need you to understand something. This isn't about money. This was never about finances. Then what is it? It's about control. Your father is terrified. You're about to earn more than he ever achieved. Travel further than he ever ventured. That frightens him. Makes him feel inadequate. So he's attempting to diminish you, too. Her words landed like revelation. My father had maintained the same manufacturing position for 27 years, never advancing beyond floor supervisor. He'd always possessed this tension when I discussed my courses, my internships, my career prospects. I'd interpreted it as concern. And your mother, Aunt Linda continued, she's been influencing him about Tyler. Discussing fairness, about how you received opportunities Tyler didn't. But Tyler got expelled from his first college for academic dishonesty. Got suspended multiple times. That's why community college became his only option, not financial constraints. I felt like reality was shifting beneath me. Nobody informed me. Because they reconstructed the story, baby. Made you the antagonist so they didn't have to confront Tyler's failures. I'm sorry you're experiencing this, but you made the correct decision leaving. That night, isolated in Derek's spare room, I made the error of checking the extended family group chat. Major mistake. My cousin Brandon had initiated it. Yo, what happened at Cameron's graduation? Your parents seemed upset on Instagram. Before I could respond, my mother had posted an extensive message. When children forget their origins, when they believe education elevates them above family, when they refuse to support the parents who sacrificed everything, that's when you realize you failed as a parent. We provided Cameron everything and he couldn't even commit to helping us in our retirement. Prayers appreciated. The responses accumulated. Aunt Michelle, that's heartbreaking, Patricia. After everything you did for him. Uncle David, kids today lack respect. My cousin Rachel, did he genuinely refuse to help you? I observed the narrative constructing in real time, layer by layer, a fortress of deception with me cast as the monster. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could defend myself, clarify the actual events, expose the absurd spreadsheet. But something Mrs. Kim had mentioned stopped me. Don't argue with fools. You both get dirty, but they enjoy it. Instead, I typed one message. I love you all. I wish today had unfolded differently. I'm going to concentrate on launching my career now. I hope everyone understands. Simple, dignified, refusing to participate in the drama they were orchestrating. My mother's response was instantaneous. That's it? That's your entire response? After devastating your parents? Tyler jumped in, unbelievable. Just unbelievable. This is really who you are, Cameron. Heartless. Uncle David, respond to your mother, son. I placed the phone down and stared at the ceiling. Derek knocked and entered with a soda. You all right? They're annihilating me in the group chat, I said. Already have the entire family believing I'm some ungrateful monster. Derek took my phone, read briefly, then locked it and returned it. You know what I observe? I see people who are furious they can't manipulate you anymore. That's not about you being wrong. That's about them being frightened. Frightened of what? Of you demonstrating that you don't need them. That success is achievable without their validation. That's terrifying to people who never risked it themselves. Sunday morning, my phone rang. Unknown caller. I nearly ignored it, but intuition made me answer. Cameron, this is Professor Hernandez from your capstone project class. My software engineering professor, the one who'd recommended me for the Austin position. Professor Hernandez, hello. How did you? Your mother contacted the department yesterday. Claimed you'd experienced a mental health crisis and wouldn't be able to accept the position in Austin. Requested we contact the company and explain you needed to remain local for treatment. The oxygen evacuated my lungs. She what? I informed her we don't make those communications for students and that you'd appeared perfectly stable on Friday. But Cameron, I'm calling because she sounded extraordinarily convincing. If I didn't know you personally, I might have believed her. My fists clenched. This is about graduation. We had a disagreement about finances. I suspected something like that. Listen, I'm calling from my personal device for a reason. I'm not supposed to disclose this, but your mother also contacted HR at the Austin company. I have a colleague there who provided a warning. My heart stopped. What did she tell them? That you have a substance abuse problem and owe the family substantial debts. That you're unreliable and they should rescind the offer before you relocate. I stood so abruptly I knocked over Derek's gaming chair. That's a complete fabrication. I've never had substance issues in my life. Professor, I know, Cameron. I know. That's why I'm calling. My colleague in HR is treating your mother's call skeptically, but I wanted to alert you. Someone might reach out to verify. How could she do this? But even as I questioned it, I understood. If I relocated to Austin, earned that salary, constructed that life, it would prove I didn't need them. It would disprove their narrative. So they were attempting to destroy what I'd built before I could even begin. Professor Hernandez, thank you. Thank you immensely for the warning. You're one of the most exceptional students I've had in 23 years, Cameron. Don't allow family conflict to derail your future. And Cameron, document everything. These situations can intensify. After we disconnected, I sat in shocked silence. My own mother had attempted to sabotage my employment. My father must have known, and Tyler had probably suggested it. I spent Sunday contacting everyone necessary. First, HR at the Austin company. Hi, this is Cameron Torres. I understand my mother may have contacted you with some concerns. The HR representative, a man named Steven, paused momentarily. Mr. Torres, yes, we received communication. However, given that you're an adult and your references from Professor Hernandez and your internship supervisors have been outstanding, we treated it as overprotective parenting. Is everything acceptable? My family is distressed about my relocation, I said carefully. They're struggling to accept that I'm moving such a distance. Everything she communicated is false. I'm willing to undergo any background verification or drug screening you'd like to confirm this. That won't be necessary, Stephen said. But I appreciate your candor. We'll document the situation in your file. Next, I contacted my financial institution and established alerts on all my accounts. Modified all my passwords. Called the credit monitoring agencies and froze my credit. Professor Hernandez's warning about intensification echoed in my thoughts. If they attempted to sabotage my employment, what else would they attempt? I documented everything, screenshots of the group chat, a detailed chronicle of graduation day, the timeline of events. Uploaded it all to secure cloud storage only I could access. Derek observed me working from the doorway. You genuinely believe they'll attempt something else? My mother tried to cost me a $102,000 position, Derek, over $2,500 monthly. Calculate that. He whistled. That's some advanced level vindictiveness. It's not vindictiveness. It's warfare. They're attempting to trap me here. Maintain my dependence. I pulled up apartment listings in Austin. I'm flying out Wednesday. Going to secure a place and request to start my position 3 weeks early if they'll accommodate me. What about your belongings? You have items at your parents' house, correct? I thought about my childhood room, my books, my wardrobe, my gaming console, the PC I'd assembled junior year. All of it in that house, held hostage to their anger. Consider it forfeited, I said. Everything I genuinely need, I can replace. Everything irreplaceable, my degree, my job offer, my dignity, I'm keeping far from them. Derek nodded slowly. You've transformed, man. Like, since yesterday, you're different. Had to, I said. They were expecting me to remain the compliant son who always attempts to repair things. That version of Cameron died by that fountain. Tuesday afternoon, Aunt Linda called again. Cameron, I persuaded your parents to have a family discussion tonight. Just you, them, and me as mediator. An opportunity to communicate this through calmly. Every instinct screamed no. But Aunt Linda had supported me, and perhaps there was a possibility to salvage something. Okay, I agreed. But at a public location. The IHOP on 7th Avenue. Why not the house? Because I don't trust them not to gang up on me. Public means witnesses. Aunt Linda was quiet. You genuinely believe they attempted to sabotage my employment, Aunt Linda? Yes, I believe they'd do worse. I arrived 20 minutes early, selected a booth in the rear corner where I could monitor the entrance. My parents arrived with Tyler, despite this supposedly being immediate family only. Aunt Linda appeared apologetic. Tyler insisted. We sat, tension dense as concrete. The server took our orders with concerned eyes, obviously sensing the conflict. My father initiated. Son, I believe we started off poorly. Your mother and I have been reflecting. Before you proceed, I interrupted, retrieving my phone. I want you to know I'm recording this for documentation. My mom's complexion flushed. You don't trust us now? You contacted my employer and fabricated lies about me having substance abuse issues. So no, I don't. Tyler gasped dramatically. Mom, you didn't. But the guilt on my mother's face revealed the truth. Aunt Linda turned to her sister-in-law, shocked. Patricia, you did what? I was attempting to protect him, my mother said weakly. That position is excessive pressure, too distant. I thought if he remained local, we could all resolve this as a family. You thought, I said slowly, that destroying my career would make me want to stay near you? My father cleared his throat. Listen, perhaps that was excessive, but Cameron, we're still your parents. We still deserve respect and consideration. The $2,500 monthly, we're willing to negotiate. Perhaps $2,000. You're willing to negotiate down on extorting me? How generous. Tyler leaned forward. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This attitude, this disrespect. I looked at my brother, really examined him. When's the last time you paid rent, Tyler? When's the last time you maintained employment longer than 4 months? That's none of your. It's absolutely my concern when you're labeling me selfish. I worked my way through university. You got expelled from college for cheating, barely completed high school, and now you're living at home rent-free at 23. But I'm the problem? Aunt Linda's eyes widened. She hadn't known about the expulsion. Is that accurate, Tyler? My parents both began speaking simultaneously, attempting to defend him, redirect, anything to avoid confronting reality. And that's when I recognized this meeting was never about reconciliation. It was about regaining control. I'm finished, I said, standing. This conversation is over. My father grabbed my forearm. Sit down. We're not done. I looked at his hand on my arm, then at his face. Release me. Not until you hear us out. Dad, release me or I'm calling the police. He released me like I'd electrocuted him. Around us, other patrons were observing now. The server hovered anxiously by the kitchen. My mother began crying, loud, theatrical sobs that filled the restaurant. My own son, she wailed, threatening to have his father arrested. What did we do to deserve this? You want a list? I asked quietly. You attempted to sabotage my employment. You posted fabrications about me in the family group chat. You demanded money with a fraudulent spreadsheet that inflated costs. You blamed me for Tyler's failures. You informed me on my graduation day that you wasted money on me. Should I continue? Aunt Linda stood up as well. I think everyone needs to take a breath. No, I said. No more breaths. No more chances. No more meetings. I'm relocating to Austin on Friday. I'm blocking all your numbers. You want a relationship with me in the future? Here's what needs to happen: therapy, individual and family, a genuine apology, and respect for my boundaries. Until then, I'm done. You'll come crawling back, my father said coldly. When life becomes difficult and you need family, you'll remember who was always there. You're correct, I agreed. I will remember who was there. Aunt Linda, Professor Hernandez, Mrs. Kim, Derek, the people who supported me without conditions, the people who celebrated my success instead of envying it. I retrieved my wallet and dropped $50 on the table. That's for everyone's meal. Consider it the last money you'll ever receive from me. I walked out of that IHOP with my head elevated, even as my mother's sobs followed me into the parking area. Aunt Linda caught up with me at my car. Cameron, wait. I turned and she embraced me. I'm so sorry. I thought I could help, but I recognize now they're not prepared to hear what you're saying. They might never be. I know, I said. But I'm not waiting around to discover that. She pressed a paper into my hand. My number. When you're established in Austin, call me. And Cameron, your grandfather would be proud of you. He always said, a man has to know when to walk away from poison, even if it's in his own bloodline. Friday morning, I woke at Derek's place for the final time. My flight to Austin departed at 1 p.m. I'd sold or donated most of my possessions, compressed everything else into 2 suitcases. Starting over, with virtually nothing felt terrifying and liberating simultaneously. Mrs. Kim prepared me an enormous breakfast. For the flight, she insisted, packing extras in containers. And Mijo, call us when you arrive. We're your family now, too. Derek drove me to the airport. We didn't talk much, just listened to old playlists from freshman year. At the terminal, he pulled me into an embrace. You're making the right choice, you know. Doesn't feel right. Feels like I'm fleeing. Nah, Derek said. Fleeing is escaping. You're running toward something better. There's a difference. As I proceeded through security, my phone buzzed. Against my better judgment, I looked. My father had sent one final text: "When you fail out there, don't expect us to rescue you. You made your choice. Live with it." I almost responded, almost defended myself one more time. Instead, I blocked the number, then my mother's, then Tyler's. One by one, I severed the threads that had been suffocating me. On the plane, I sat by the window and observed my city shrinking below me. Somewhere down there, my parents were probably telling relatives how ungrateful I was. Tyler was probably posting on social media about abandonment. The narrative they'd constructed would continue without me. But I didn't need to be part of their story anymore. 6 months later, I stood in my Austin apartment, small, but mine, observing the city lights spread out below. My first performance evaluation had returned, exceeds expectations. I'd made friends on my team, joined a climbing gym, even started seeing someone named Alicia who worked in product design. Life hadn't been effortless, but it had been mine. No one dictating that I owed them for my success. No spreadsheets demanding repayment for being raised. My phone buzzed. "Aunt Linda, your mother's in the hospital. Stroke. She's stable, but she's asking for you." I stared at the message for an extended period. Felt the old guilt attempting to resurface, the old conditioning that said family means abandoning everything. But I remembered graduation day. Remembered the sabotaged employment. Remembered being called a waste of money. I typed back, "I'll send flowers, but I'm not coming. Aunt Linda, I understand. For what it's worth, I think your father finally realizes what he lost. He asked about you yesterday." Cried. "Good," I replied. "Maybe pain will teach him what love couldn't." Was I cold? Perhaps. But I'd learned something crucial: establishing boundaries isn't cruelty. Protecting yourself isn't selfishness. Sometimes the people who gave you life aren't equipped to support the life you're building. I pulled up my banking app and examined my savings. In 6 months, I'd saved $35,000. No $2,500 monthly drain. Just me building wealth, building security, building the future they said I was selfish for wanting. My phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. My father's voice: "Son, I know I messed up. Your mother's sick and it made me think. We're getting older. We're going to need help eventually. I hope you can forgive us." Delete. Because here's what I'd learned: forgiveness isn't reconciliation. I could forgive them for being flawed, frightened people who handled my success badly. But that didn't mean letting them back into my life to do it again. Alicia knocked on my door. "You ready? Everyone's waiting at the restaurant for your promotion celebration." Promoted to lead developer after 6 months. My manager said it was the fastest advancement he'd witnessed in years. "Yeah," I said, grabbing my jacket. "Let's go celebrate with people who actually want to see me succeed." As I locked my apartment door, I thought about that fountain, that graduation day, that moment when everything shattered. It had broken me, yes. But from those broken pieces, I'd built something stronger, something mine, something they couldn't take away or diminish or attach price tags to. If you believe people should support your success, not resent it, hit that subscribe button. If you think family should celebrate your achievements instead of sabotaging them, drop a comment saying, "I stand for genuine support." Only manipulators and toxic people who think they own your future won't engage. Let's build a community that believes in breaking free from those who try to trap us. Because everyone deserves to succeed without guilt. And if you can't stand people like Cameron's parents who weaponize love, you know exactly what to do. Hit subscribe if you believe boundaries are healthy. Only those who think they're entitled to control others will disagree.